We've finally returned to our regularly scheduled programming with no PLE to predict or react to this week. Back to basics with our weekly breakdown of all things storytelling from SmackDown and Raw in the WWE, as well as a reaction to Seth Rollins ranking his top 10 finishers of all time, and we give our view on the greatest finishers of all time. Let's get into it. We're once again back with a two-man team, but I'm back in the hosting chair, taking back over Ross after some technical difficulties with a lack of upload speed holiday last week. And I am joined by my SmackDown correspondent, Daz.
Happy to be back. Another two-man run this week, so all going well, back to full complement next Tuesday.
Aye, all going well, back to full complement. We are running on a 55-minute timer this week because that's all we've left on Buzzsprout, but you guys went over last week, so if we go over, we go over.
Yeah.
Let's just go straight into it. The benefits of the two-man booth this week is you've got SmackDown, I've got Raw, and we can just shoot the shit for an hour. Yep. If I throw the first topic to you, you can give me your thoughts on it, Daz. I'm going to mention the two people here, and you can take it from there. We've got Julia having done nothing since winning that women's US title, which we spent weeks criticising, and they might have rescued it last night on Raw. But is Stephanie Vicaire going to be stuck in a secret Hervis vortex for the next few weeks as she pads her time until Clash in Paris?
I mean, I really, really hope not. I am really concerned. We spoke at length about how bad Zelina Vega's US title run was, and that it was you that said in the list, I think 11 of our recent opponents during that run were all a mixture of Chelsea Green, Alba Fire, or Piper Niven. So I don't feel like they're going to really make her a believable champion if that's the run she's going to get prior to going to get into Paris. You need to remember as well, this isn't 2 weeks away. Paris is a few further weeks down the line. Yeah. So I don't think I can watch this every Friday. I think she's probably just in there to kill time until Brie Bella's available for that return. But I did say to Ross last week on the pod that Lola Vice is likely to be the third member of that team, given she has a history with both after the Battle Royal Evolution. I'm really sad for Julia. We spoke at length of the importance of giving the title to someone who can carry it and elevate it. And she's just a product to the division on SmackDown that there's nothing for her. And it really is a shame unless we run Chelsea Green again, Meechin. I don't know, bring someone up from NXT, even if it is just for a few weeks. And you built Lash Legend in that Battle Royal. Right, you might have plans for her on NXT. I don't know. Ross watches a development brand, but you had the likes of Jada Parker. You had Tatum Paxley. We had Kalani Jordan. With so many talents in that ring that showed they can hang. Go just do a round robin on SmackDown every Friday until we've got something for this person to do. She's got to go on the Summerslam card.
Yeah, the nail on the head there, because I was going to say at the end of your spiel there that the obvious opponent is in NXT. Rightly or wrongly, Jordan Grace now has the program that excites me the most in women's wrestling.
Yeah, definitely.
With Blake Monroe, and I wouldn't break that up for this, but we're in real danger of that title meaning nothing, and we're going to get to this when we get to Raw, as I always felt like they should have treated the women's tag title division as the women's mid-card.
Yeah,
because there wasn't enough people, and now you've got 4 championships plus the women's tag titles. That's 5, but you need 2 for this. It's a lot of people tied up, and we've criticised the women's tag division in the last few months because there's been nothing for it. Now it's turned a corner, but we've completely lost the women's US title. It means nothing. And Julia was 100% the right person to win it. The buzz and the noise and the pop in Saudi was phenomenal, and it's not even that she's not performing, she's just doing nothing.
There's nothing for her to perform on.
Nah. And I think you're right with the Battle Royal. You could have had her been put out by somebody from NXT in such a way that made, there's a clear 3 or 4 week feud. Again, on the pod for them that's joining us for the first time, wins and losses matter, but when you're getting over, you don't have to win. You can get over by being in really good wrestling matches, and we're going to talk about one of the people in a minute. But when we look at Roxanne and Stephanie and Julia when they first appeared in the divisions, Roxanne and Julia especially were working with Io and Rhea. You don't need to win the matches, but you're in the ring with the right people. Yeah. So somebody could come up for 3 or 4 weeks, work a program with Julia. They don't have to go over. But again, we've talked about Lyra Valkyria. I don't know what her record is in the last 3 months, but I can't wait to watch her every week because that program has put her on a fucking pedestal to absolute stardom. So Julia, we're huge fans of, but let's not waste it. Stephanie Vicaire. The booking confuses me, not in a bad way. And she came into the division like immediately. It was like she's a top 5 women wrestler in this brand on WWE, and that's I think still the case. Then it's as if they felt like they had to cool her off for a few weeks. Then they had her win the Battle Royal, and now it's back up, and now it's like, right, what do we do for the next few weeks? And suddenly it's like, if she's so undeniable, just accept that the push is there, and okay. I just think once again, imagine Naomi. I can't even think if Stephanie's going after Naomi or Tiffany. I need to double check that, but just get it right. Like we when she first appeared, as you said in the first episode that we watched her, she'll be champion in 18 months. And 2 weeks later, it was she'll be champion in 12 months. And then 2 weeks later, she'll be champion in 6 months. Let's not just waste the next 6 months. If we think she's ready, surely just pull the trigger.
I think they will pull the trigger. My only concern is, where are we pulling it? Because we know that it's Jade and Tiffy, and we know there's the triple threat at SummerSlam for Naomi's title. We know that Naomi's going to retain. We're not going to cash in for that moment and have her drop it straight away. I think Tiffy's reign is probably over, which is a shame. So they're going to put Steph with the new champ or the more recently new champ. And I've got this feeling that Steph's going to go the same way that LA Knight went. I feel like we're going to be in a position where she's always going to be over, but she's just never going to get the rub. Is how I feel this is going to go, because unless they're just going to hold off with Tiffy and put Steph over in Paris, which I would love to see, but I feel like the payoff's coming for Jade.
So I'm just looking at the Clash in Paris card, and it is Stephanie Vicaire versus TBD for the Women's World Championship on Raw. So I must have missed that. So I must have missed that. It was confirmed on the Raw after Evolution, which is fair enough because I was trying to watch that in my holiday. So I
million hours of wrestling that weekend. So
no, I know.
Right, so it's going to be Naomi then. So it's going to be Naomi. You just can't take the title off Naomi that quick. It defeats the purpose.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I have nothing to say to that. but again, it's about having Stephanie involved in the matches, but then she's already at that level. That'll be an interesting one to get to after.
Yeah, that will be.
So next week we'll have the Summerslam predictions, and the week after we'll have the Fallout, and that'll be an interesting conversation because I'm sitting here thinking about it and realising that thinking about it is not good for an audio podcast.
No, it's not.
Say things. you can see my brain working, but people
are
listening.
The audience cannot.
They work. Aye. And we mentioned there about the being involved in really good wrestling matches can get you over. And a guy who epitomises that in the last 12 months for me is Carmelo Hayes. He had the programme at Andrade.
Yeah.
Disappeared for a while. Has no good matches. They finally seem to have something there for him. Okay, it's potentially a multi-man, but you'd imagine eventually Solo will move on for the US title. Melo's definitely a guy that should be in that picture in a few months. Talk me through Friday night, but in general, is this the time where we start to see that build again for Carmelo? Because every time he disappears, he comes back and everybody loves watching him.
I think we're really running out of time to pull the trigger on Carmelo, and one of the issues he's had is his feuds have never finished. Is the issue he's had for one reason or another. You mentioned one there. He had the mini feud with Miz. He had the Aleister Black stuff, which was then curtailed for Damien Priest / R-Truth. I think the initial plan was to break up A-Town down and push Austin Theory. Austin Theory's now injured, as we found out. That A-Town down are no longer a thing. Now's the time to pull the trigger on this guy and start to build him towards being a believable mid-card champion to help elevate him into the main event picture, because there's just a few talents in front of him that's going to slow him down. Because if you'd said to me 12, 18 months ago, could he be the next face of the company, I'd have said yes. Right now, I don't know if he could be. Just with some of the guys in front of him, Breaker, Fatu, Solo Sikoa, as much as it pains to say, guys like Logan Paul have got this superstar aura about them that Melo's not the front of the queue, so they really need to start doing something with Melo before he moves, because he's the kind of guy that if you lose him to another promotion, it'll be a massive loss.
Aye, he screams top level mid card champion, potential world champion, a bit like Jey Uso, but maybe just without that tag teams. Like, you always know the Usos can fall back to be the Usos and be in tag division and be
at SummerSlam, but yeah,
and be the greatest tag team in the world anytime, essentially.
Yes.
So, which whenever the Usos are involved in the tag division feels like a main event. It can do. So Melo doesn't have that. SmackDown feels really crowded, especially since they moved back to 2 hours. It feels like 2 hours isn't enough. 2 is not enough and 3 is too much. Because for our American brethren that are maybe listening to this, whenever we tune in a Saturday morning and try and watch the rerun on Netflix, it's only an hour and 20 minutes. You lose 40 minutes to adverts and commercials and nonsense. So there's not a lot of action, whereas on Raw, and we'll get to it in half an hour probably, but the same opening segment that we get every fucking week that we're fed up listening to, of just 20 minutes of crap. Why not just have Carmelo Hayes open the show with a match against somebody else who's really good between the 4 ropes?
Yeah.
And just, or 3 ropes, sorry, the four corners, 3 ropes, and just have a good wrestling match that opens the show before we all fall asleep at 1:30 in the morning here.
Definitely.
I'd love to see him go to Raw, potentially work a programme with AJ or Dom. That type of match, just good matches. And I think SmackDown's been the better show, I think, in the last 12 months, majority of the time, apart from the women's stuff on Raw. And I think it's at risk now with this change, move back to 2 hours. It feels like it helps us as guys try to watch it at ridiculous times, but pardon me, ultimately, it's the people who need the time that have lost out, and it's only been 2 weeks.
Definitely. You can see the change in the product by removing that hour. They didn't know what to do with the third hour, but they needed it, even though they couldn't necessarily fill it.
I know, but it's weird because we're now going to lose the Sol Rooker appears every so often, or Javon Evans appears every so often. That's the people that we're going to lose. Like, I don't sit here and pretend to watch NXT every week, because by the time I get to Tuesday night, I need a break for the wrestling. But I watched them on SmackDown. I was like, yeah, I need to watch whenever he's on NXT, Sol Rooker. I'm like so invested. And I know you said last week she was the MVP of the weekend, and 100% correct. Not only did she do 3 matches and not win all 3 matches, but she came away for that. Everybody's like, yeah, pull the trigger. Like, is that the person that you want in the Julia feud? Or is
me personally, yes.
So that's the bit that's going to miss. I think it feels like Raw's stacked, and SmackDown's like, it's just lost a bit of its charm.
The shows are unbalanced because Raw's stacked in terms of its mid-card and its main event picture, whereas SmackDown's stacked in its tag team division, where, I mean, if you look at the number 1 contenders match on Raw last night, which we will get to, how is that the position we're in heading to SummerSlam, that these guys are your number 1 contenders for your World Tag Team Championships, when you've got that division on Raw, on SmackDown, sorry, do you know what I mean?
It's a great segue into the next match, which was that fatal 4-way tag match, where you're looking at that and going, I don't disagree with who won it, because I think they've been brilliant since they've been put together,
Yes,
Andrade and Ray
absolutely.
Phoenix. But stick to them on Raw. Stick one of them.
Just
Obviously,
move
probably not Phoenix. Just move.
Just move something.
Just get a dartboard. You got it Raw, and that's it. Problem solved.
The best thing they could do is move Fraxium. The best thing they could do is move Fraxium to Raw.
Aye, I would agree. I would 100% agree, because I feel like the way they are, even out of the ring, would gel really well with what the New Day are trying to do in terms
100%.
of being heel contenders. So even though the Judgment Day are the champions, I feel for that feud would be a nice lead and build to eventually a title match.
Yes.
At some sort of PLE, because there's no point in just saying. There's no point in just saying this is who we think should challenge for the title. This is how they should, and how we think they can get there. Because you and I particularly are fed up with this 2 weeks of build to a PLE. Because then as soon as you get a situation like this where they've got more than 2 weeks, they don't know what to do. We grew up with 4 weeks. This is the same thing. Like, I just feel as though Fraxium and the way they are works really, really well with the New Day, and ultimately Judgment Day. I mean, it was a great match.
It was.
And I don't know who's booking these matches every week. But
I don't know who's producing them. I don't know who's producing the tag matches, because anytime you get a combination of these teams in the ring together, you're guaranteed a 3.5-star match minimum. You know what I mean? You're guaranteed a great wrestling match. I'm just not sure if it's the same person producing them. But the chemistry they've got in the ring, it's weird to say that the people with the least chemistry are the champions right now. And that probably is an element of ring rust, and they've not been mixing with the division like these guys. But Motor City Machine Guns, Street Profits, Fraxium, they're unreal. And it's nice to have that level of team available on your show.
Aye.
But when you look at what's happening in the Red Brand, it's floundering for a tag team. And it just needs a bit of help.
I mean, we've talked at length during the course of the year, of the few months we've been doing this, about the need for a shake-up, and we believe it's coming post Summerslam.
I hope so.
Possibly pre-Clash in Paris, but I hope I'm now at the stage where I kind of don't want the SmackDown tag division to be broken up. I feel like these guys should genuinely main event a PLE and a TLC match, whether it's if John Cena's last match at SNME, that they should open the show and have, because that'll be one of the biggest shows of the year in terms of TV audience.
That 100%.
So put these guys on and be like, fuck, because we've talked about things we can do in this show in terms of segments and other videos and stuff. And one thing I always want to talk about is, what's the match or the people that made you love wrestling? I know we had your 7 wrestler theory on TikTok a few months ago.
Yeah.
For WrestleMania 2000, Anaheim Pond, Hardys, Dudleys, Edge and Christian, Triangle Ladder match. It was the match that basically it created the TLC off the back of it. Jeff Hardy threw himself off 20-foot ladders. Like, if people watched them do what they were doing the other week, another month, then they'll be like,
create a whole new generation. 100%, especially network TV.
And the fact that they're talking about this, the actual championship match being on the SmackDown before SummerSlam, I think, scandalous.
A waste. You've got a 2-night show.
These guys on fucking card.
You've got a 2-night show. I don't get it.
For them, again, for the people out there that are only for the UK, we've lived through the era of sitting down at 10 p.m. to a 2-hour pre-show, and then a 5-hour WrestleMania card, and at 5 in the morning trying to figure out if we would do 2 hours of sleep or just go to work.
Now we get 2 of them.
Then we get 2 nights that are hard. Just put these guys in the card. But I just think that's what I want to see for these guys. I want to see these tag teams doing stupid things. And I mean, Street Profits weren't even in that match. The division's so strong in SmackDown, but find a way to showcase them, because I think you would create, as you say, a generation of wrestling fans. The same way that we fell in love with the 3 tag teams 25 years ago.
100%.
I'll let you go. Main event segment. You start.
I mean, I love I can see the story they're telling, and I don't want it to happen yet. I don't want the turn yet. I still think it's too early. We've still got 4 months left of his run. And I know that you lose a month of that because he's filming, but so is Cody and so is Roman. So it doesn't make sense to tease that turn right now. I don't know. But like the actual segment itself was excellent. I loved it was almost semi-believable to begin with that Cena wasn't actually going to be
Aye.
at SummerSlam. That was actually semi-believable. I like the angle. I was speaking to Ross off pod about this and where this is going. It's got the whole makings of. I don't know if you remember this, right? Maybe people listening will remember this. I think it might be SmackDown versus Raw 2006 or 7. You win the Intercontinental Championship at Unforgiven, and Eric Bischoff comes out to the ramp and says that that title cannot be defended in the month of November. It cannot be lost. And this has got the makings of Cody wins the title and is stripped of it, and it's given back to John because John didn't sign the contract.
Aye.
And it turns Cody heel. It's got the makings of Cody gets the win but doesn't get to keep the belt. And I thought the segment itself was excellent. I don't know what we're doing at SummerSlam. I don't get it. I don't see the vision necessarily for this one other than what I've just suggested. It's the only vision I can see.
So I've that's watching this. Well, I've seen the thumbnail on YouTube. Although we do appreciate that most people have jumped over and joined us on audio, which is great. That's the target for us. So the guys on audio will see the thumbnail on YouTube. I've got Cena and Cody, and I've asked the question: is it too predictable? And I'm asking that for exactly your last line there. It's predictable because we're not talking about SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. We're talking about what's then going to happen. The predictability is that Cody Rhodes won't be the champion if he's off filming. That's what I mean by predictable. Now, there's 2 avenues to get there. One is that Cena wins, and one is that they've introduced this potential of he didn't sign the contract. Now, if you ask me, you would get your lawyer involved before SummerSlam and get you out of it, not after he was the title.
Yeah, but obviously, yeah.
I digress. So, I think we're all in agree. Prediction shows next week that Cena will be champion through the end of August, at least. How he gets there, I don't know. My issue with the whole situation is Cody. If Cody loses, right, if he actually loses the match to Cena, then that's it. Bye. Cody doesn't dethrone John Cena because you can't lose twice.
He can't dethrone him.
But if they do go down the route of winning and then being stripped, I think that basically confirms it's a third, and I think it confirms that it's Cody that probably beats him, and I don't want that either.
You know me, I'm the biggest. I don't believe the guy is at all as a champion, so I don't want him to be the guy that takes the title off Cena. But see, if you actually look at the landscape, there's probably 3 guys that are readily available that can take the title off him.
See before you say any names, I'll just clarify my point. I've clarified this the whole time, and I know you're in total agreement with this. It's not just about being a champion; it's about getting the rub. And I feel like Cody has had that from Roman, and he's had it by winning everything there is to win in the last 2 years. That's I don't mind if he's champion again. I just don't think it should be off the John Cena rub. He doesn't need it. He's had it from Roman, who's the greatest champion in the last 20 years. You're right. There's only 2 or 3 guys, and I think we've lost one of them.
Definitely.
Which we're going to touch on as we go through Raw. You want to share who you think the 2 or 3 guys are?
Well, the other guy's on Raw. He's recently returned as Reigns, and Reigns doesn't need the rub.
That's again, yep.
The only other one that's readily available has already had his feud, and it's Randy Orton, and that's not feasible. So everything points to Cody. Cody doesn't need the rub, but I feel like it's going to end up Cody anyway. I think it cements him as the next face of the company because we know that Roman's running down time. on his career. We know that that's happening. And it just cements Cody as the next face of the new era, as John's called it. So, I mean, it's not an era I'd like to be part of where he is the main face of the company, but unfortunately he is that guy, and he's probably going to be continuing to be booked that way.
I just feel like he's been the face of the company for the last 2 years, 3 years. Because you come in, you win a feud with Seth Rollins. He's
been booked as the face of the company, but he is not the face of the company. He's been booked as if he is. But you hear the pops for Roman. Roman is still the draw.
Oh, aye. But is the danger Cody gets that situation where we just can't be arsed with him? Like, even if you like it.
Cena with the 2010s.
Cena 2010s, Roman when they tried the first time. Rollins on occasion. But you accept their talent and their ability, but you're just like, yeah, I've seen it for the last few years. Like, I don't dislike Cody in a way that you don't enjoy his work. I thought it was brilliant, but like I said, with the King of the Ring stuff and everything else that came with it, I was just like, you can't have someone win the title of WrestleMania and 2 Royal Rumbles and King of the Ring and everything else. It just doesn't help. It ruins it for everybody else. I really hope we don't get a third one, because I just think that came from like I've not had the fact that, unfortunately for me, I think the person I'd like to see take it for John Cena is genuinely injured and is not going to be available. I think Kevin Owens would have been a great guy.
Owens would have been my pick.
Because I like, as I said the other week, we talked about potentially John Cena's last match. I really like the full circle moment, and obviously how Owens got his call up and his start with the open challenge and immediately turned him from an NXT guy into main event level talent. I just think it would have been a good full circle. Owens could have carried the title into WrestleMania, or even just through the Rumble, or just for a period of time. It didn't need to be. It's not going to happen.
It's perfect way to put a world title on Punk as well. It's perfect way after Cena drops it. But I think we're missing one key point. His final event is a Saturday night main event. The world title will not change hands on that show. So if he's dropping it, he's got to drop it before then, because it will not change hands on that show.
I would agree. I think his last match might even be a tag match or something else. It's just
other thing to point out as well, because I've seen this online, but I don't think it's been confirmed anywhere. Crown Jewel is obviously normally in Saudi, but it's in Perth this year. It's champion versus champion, because they've got the big stupid belts. So,
but the belts are
Cody Gunther again.
I don't know, because they kept the belts in Saudi as part of a display. That was the whole point. So I don't know if they're tied to Crown Jewel or Saudi. Obviously, we've had the Saudi show, then they'll use them. So I don't think they'll win Cody Gunther again.
I hope not.
I mean, add that to the list of overbooking. Like winning the champion versus champion feud. I mean, I think it feels as though we've tried to drag SmackDown out, because I know we've got 2 shows. I'm thinking 2 shows an hour, that's half an hour, but the show was fine. Nothing really happened, but I think the big takeaway is just, and let's be honest, where the Golden Shovel's probably going to go this week is back to that women's US title picture, but we'll get there in half an hour, 40 minutes or so. Let's jump into Raw, and let's start. We'll start and finish with Seth Rollins. We'll finish with the top 10 finishers, and we'll start with, and you talked about it last week, so we'll not dwell on it too long, but we'll talk about the is Seth actually injured piece. There's 2 things for me, and again, you mentioned certainly one of them last week. Heyman said on Monday he'll be out for a long, long time, right? Which means nothing. There's still nothing official. Like, for example, they officially announced that Kevin Owens had his neck surgery the other day, therefore that's confirmed and done and blah, blah, blah. I think that the WWE needs Seth Rollins, because I think I was starting to believe that he would use the Money in the Bank briefcase to keep Punk away from the title, but actually cash it in on Cena. Like, I felt like if that was the move, he was going to go the other way. I think it would have been a great swerve, great storytelling, right? I think it needs that. The idea of Braun or Bronson carrying it. Yeah. They've almost been buried the way their bookings went. They went from these rising stars to a pair of lackeys, as we've said for weeks.
Security,
B&B security, aye. I must be the only person that hopes he's injured, and not in a bad way, in a way of like, you've just killed it. Like, I still think they should just have called it no contest. Like, having LA Knight actually win the match and then not go to SummerSlam, I think is completely stupid.
Yep.
And now potentially not on the card. So for you, Daz, do we think he's actually injured? Do we think it's an angle? And does it matter if he's actually injured or if it's an angle?
I think, me and Ross spoke about this last week, and I gave it my golden shovel last week because none of it made sense to me. I couldn't really work out what we were doing. And this week, I'm probably more in the camp of he is actually injured. And the reason being, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media for Becky that's showing him walking in crutches with a knee brace. And I think, see in 2025, see if we are going to that level to uphold kayfabe and work the fans, it needs to be really, really short term. And the reason I think we've not had anything official is because they want the what if for SummerSlam. I think that's why. I think post SummerSlam it'll become clear that he does need surgery and he will be out for a lengthy outlay. What I'd like to see happen for that though is one of two things. Braun and Braun cannot continue in a two-man stable with Paul Heyman, so that needs to break down. And Paul Heyman will pick a side. But the other thing I'd like to see happen is the redistribution of the briefcase. And whether that's the breakdown of they two, because who gets it out of that stable, I would like to see them run back a multi-man match for it. Doesn't necessarily need to be a ladder match, could be a scramble. We've not had a championship scramble in years. You could have a Money in the Bank scramble or something, but we need to book some people. See if you just say to these guys, right, look, Penta, LA Knight, Braun, Dom Mysterio, because he's probably going to drop the title to AJ, and Melo. Throw the six of them in the ring and say, look, one of you guys is going to carry this briefcase. And the chances are it'll be Penta or LA Knight if they ever actually pull the trigger on the guy. But I just feel like Seth's definitely out because you've seen the tease on Monday with Bronson Reed holding and pointing at the briefcase. I think we're seeing the tease that Seth isn't coming back anytime soon, I don't think.
I think it's a good shout with they only have to drag it out another 10 days, 2 weeks, and they get through the tease of SummerSlam and announce it. I saw the post you're talking about and I was like, part of my brain was going, is it so obvious that that's real, that it's fake? But Becky and Seth had their kid with them, and I'm like, I don't think
they would put their kid in
when they put their kid through that, I don't think so. Like, having to explain why Daddy's wearing a knee brace for an hour and then not wearing it. As soon as I saw that, I thought, right, I don't think they would do that. The other risk is obviously that Rue does sometimes join Becky in press conferences and she would just split out Daddy's actually okay.
Daddy's no injured.
Daddy was jumping off the diving board at the pool or something. So I think it's real. Because you could see LA Knight's disappointment when the match happened. I feel like you should have called it a no contest at that point, I think.
That's why I gave it there was no X, which was bizarre to me.
I know, but I have noticed that the refs now have their wee belt mic, so she also clicks a button. And I don't know if that button is just an X signal or if she then communicates to the back that it's legit without the X. So, probably we can only assume that that's what happened, but it's you don't have LA Knight win the match. Just call it a no contest through injury. Before I bring in the nuts and bolts on Monday Night Raw, I'm just going to mention that Sheamus and Rusev actually had yet another really good match, but they need to actually do something with that. It's like the Carmelo Hayes and Andrade thing a year ago, where they just kept having good matches, great, but Sheamus is nearing retirement, Rusev's just come back. They're probably neither of them going to the main event picture. What you doing? What's the plan? Like, Sheamus wants the IC title, we know that. Maybe he's good enough that he can take it at some point. I don't know.
Perfect angle for these two guys, because you've got a bit of time. We know that it's going to be Dom and AJ for the IC title. Run a best of 7 series with these two guys, and whoever comes out on top gets a number one contenders slot for the IC title. It gives you a 7-week build for a number one contender, so it can be Paris or you can even wait to Perth. You've got plenty of options. But these two guys, I don't really like Rusev as a package. He's not really my cup of tea. I never liked him the first time. But I think his big guys, it's a harder commodity to come by in the business now, because traditionally your big guys were fat and slow. But now the big guys are shredded within an inch of like Finn 0% body fat. So they're the two best big guys on Raw, in my opinion, because I don't include Braun Breaker as a big guy. But I
He's
would
too
like
fast,
Sheamus. Nah, yeah, definitely. I'd
he's
like
just too
Sheamus
fast.
to get one last title run. But I'd also like to see if Rusev can become Miro, if he can become a believable contender in WWE, because he wasn't the first time. And for what I've seen him so far before he got in the ring with Sheamus, I wasn't convinced. Don't get me wrong, he was wrestling Akira Tozawa, but yeah.
Aye, agreed. 100%. There's no disputing that here. Let me see what I've got on my plan here. It's the same usual opening segment. Do you want to just skip past that and say...
I mean, the only difference this week was there was actually no Seth Rollins, so...
it was a face rather than a heel. They owned it. Again, just going to be a straight point that in television matches, CM Punk's record this year since his return, 3 wins, 6 losses.
Yep.
And he's still the biggest star in the company, probably. So, just reiterating that point, you don't have to win every week to be the star on any show. There is more to it than that. I'm intrigued, and I'm looking forward to the prediction of this match next week, because up until 10 years ago, I would have said that Gunther walks out as champion. Or Seth does. Punk doesn't. But it'll be because of Seth and B&B security. Now, maybe it's still B&B, but I see it. I do see it. I mean, Punk versus Cody or Punk versus Cena, the champion v champion match that we've already mentioned. That, but I think it would kill Gunther as well. They short title changes. So
I think Gunther needs to go to Europe. Needs to go to Paris as champion. I think.
Aye, I think you're right. I
you're
think
missing you're missing a huge opportunity if you take the. Don't get me wrong, Punk's obviously a huge draw himself. But if you're going to go to Europe and you're an hour's flight away from this guy's home country, keep the title on him. There's no point in giving him the title just so he can retire Bill Goldberg. It's worse than actually not being champion, in my opinion. Just to put the belt on for him.
I would agree. He needs a big feud win over a big star, not a match win.
He establishes him as a world champion again, definitely.
A feud win. We'll do the tag title match. Tag title number 1 contenders match. Sorry. I mean, the actual match itself was okay. But again, when I'm looking back through my notes here, and I'm saying the Creed brothers, who just haven't done anything for me since they've been called up, which is a shame because I liked them in NXT.
Yep.
The LWO, who are good, but I don't enjoy their work as much as like Phoenix and Andrade even thrown there. I think have been brilliant, and some of the other luchadors, Dragon Lee, etc. I just think have been brilliant. Axiom as part of Fraxiom has been brilliant. They're good, but they don't capture the intrigue in the new date. And I'm thinking to myself, right, we're talking about LWO. Is that them, or is it just a product of being in the shittest division that we've ever seen?
They're the team in the bunch that haven't had the opportunity, so they're getting the opportunity. Because I don't realistically know how long this title run's going to be for Judgment Day. Because the other outstanding question is, when does the Judgment Day end? Every time we think they're going to pull the plug on it, they win a title or retain a title. So I'm never going to bet against the Judgment Day from this point on in prediction shows, because I don't know how it's ever going to end. But yeah, we know the outcome of the tag match. There's no way they drop the titles to LWO.
Nah, no chance. They'll drop the titles as part of the breakup if and when it happens. Obviously they could break up and Balor and McDonough could still be a tag team, but I don't think I actually don't see who breaks them up, to be honest. I'm assuming it'll come through the Liv Morgan storyline.
Yeah,
with
it's got to be the
Dom,
Liv Morgan and Dom dropping the IC title.
but that doesn't break up Finn and JD. You know what I mean? Like,
I think what you'll probably get is 3 title losses in quick succession. Will be so Dom will lose his, and then probably Finn and JD, and then it'll come down to the women's titles when Liv returns is probably the angle where that's the straw that breaks the camel's back and you'll go their separate ways. But yeah.
Aye. I'm actually reading other notes here on people saying that the tag division in Monday Nights is immensely talented, and it's just not. It's so disappointing.
Are we watching the same?
I don't understand that.
Okay. Certainly a weird take. I mean, I'm interested if people have got that take. Tell us why, but I don't see it.
I would agree. Let's hear it. I'm going to save Stephanie and Io for a little bit later. Talk women's IC title picture. Becky's promo, fine, good, keeps the show going. This is such an important match at SummerSlam because the feud's been brilliant. It needs to end the right way so that we remember it fondly and push Lyra up and push Becky to whether it's a break or whether it's towards Bayley or whether it's Bayley's heel turn, whatever comes. This is so important for all 3 of them and the women's division because it's made the mid-card feel so important. I do just think it was a pointless match.
The tag match is bizarre.
Because the SummerSlam match has been announced.
It didn't make sense to me. It felt very much like a booking back in the old Vince days. You know, that way your challenger and your world champion would get flung into a tag team match and they'd put the tag titles on them.
For 2 or 3 weeks,
Like Sean and John both holding the tag titles and then they would drop them in a messy accidental switch in music or something like that. It just felt a wee bit reminiscent of that, and I don't know if it is because they're a little bit lost for how to book these people out with the feud they're actually in. So if you're not booking Lyra against Bayley or Lyra against Becky or Becky against Bayley, how do we book them?
Hold on to that thought as well for the last segment of this pod. The last segment of Raw for the pod. That exact thought.
Yeah, I mean, I know we'll get to SummerSlam predictions, so I'll not say too much on the match, but the stipulations are set up for Becky to put Lyra over. So, yeah.
And potentially Bayley to do a heel turn. Everybody seems to be that. I don't want to turn heel right now.
I'd like her to win it clean. I'd like Lyra to go over clean, end the feud properly. There can be no comebacks, and then Becky can crash out on Raw, and then it can happen. I
also think that Bayley was away from the show for a few months after the WrestleMania situation.
Yeah,
let her work as a face for a few months before they do. He doesn't need the heel turn now, especially because Becky's the heel, Bayley's the heel, Lyra's. Not a fan. She will turn heel, but doesn't need to be the next 2 or 3 weeks. It can be a few months down the line. But it's an interesting one. I'm just reading. So for anyone that is listening or watching, I do tend to use Bleacher Report because they summarise the stuff really nicely. So what I normally do on Tuesday mornings, wake up and read what happened on Raw before I get the chance to watch it, so that at least Daz, Ross and I can roughly agree what the structure of this pod looks like. And they've actually said here that our mic performance is developed, but it's devoid of character and she's struggling to get the fans on her side. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they pop every week when that music hits.
Wait, sorry, who's struggling to get fans on side?
Lyra?
No, that's nonsense.
That's nonsense.
Not unless that's piped in crowd work, but
I'm not buying that at all.
No way, I don't buy that at all.
So segment was good, match was good, but a bit pointless and thrown together. And obviously interference at the end. We'll just mention briefly that Raquel Rodriguez had put out a couple of weeks ago that she spoke to Kevin Nash, and Kevin Nash had told her, or put on Twitter, that she needs to work big and be a big person. And in the last 2 weeks, as if a fucking switch has flipped and you're watching it and going, she's just beating people up. It's good to watch.
Ironic that the laziest guy in the business is telling her that as well. Nash was the laziest worker of them all, man.
7 foot tall and did nothing.
Don't get me wrong, it must be hard to work big with that frame, don't get me wrong, but he was so lazy.
That frame in the quads.
No, but to be fair, back then you could get away with it. That's what I was saying earlier about the big guys. They were just big bits of meat.
No,
They didn't have to be athletes.
Aye, it's a strange match. If anything, it just shows that the WWE have get stuck in this every 2 weeks PLE thing. Whereas even if you park a story for a couple, it's only 2 or 3 weeks. Whereas right now you've got 4 weeks to fill, and it just looks like a struggle. Yep. I'm going to skip Sami Zayn carrying Cross because I just don't care. It's just it is what it is.
I once for you, Adam. Adam actually texted me. See when I said that I got the biggest backlash from Adam of all people, my brother, when I made the statement that Sami Zayn will never be world champion because he's not world champion material. And he texted me saying, "I will kill you if there's any more Sami Zayn slander on this podcast." But let's just bin the feud off. We don't need it.
I'll sit here and say that I am a huge Sami Zayn fan, and I believed he would be world champion until about 3 months ago, and I just went, you know what, it's not happening. I still think there's a better chance LA Knight gets there. If you weren't going to pull the trigger of him at the end of the Bloodline story, it's never going to happen.
They've got 12 months to pull it on LA Knight as well, or he's going to end up in the same boat.
Aye, agreed. I love Sami Zayn. I think he's brilliant, but they can never quite figure it. Is he a heel? Is he a face? What is he? They just don't get it right. And I'm not knocking him. I just don't think it's going to happen either. And I'm not slandering him. I think he's brilliant.
I'm knocking him. I don't rate him. But yeah.
It's always good on a Monday night or a Tuesday morning for us when you fire on Raw and you see that 2 of the best in the world locking horns. Stephanie Vicaire, Io Sky. So we've went, and we'll forget interference, we've went from the Secret Service Vortex to feuding with Io Sky, which is phenomenal wrestling, 2 of the best. But why are we now seeing Io on TV? She had like 4 months as champion and we never saw her. It just proves how much time was wasted over the summer, surely.
Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't give us the latest instalment of the list of the Golden Shovel. I said it in last week's podcast that it was match of the year for me at Evolution, possibly match of the next 2 years, and it was a 5-star match. I also called on the pod that Wrestling Observer would not give it a 5-star rating. So this week, on the list of the Golden Shovel, is the 4.75 rating for Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky. What the fuck is going on at Wrestling Observer? Just swallow your pride and admit that it was a 5-star match. But yes. Can
I say something about that actually before you finish your point? See, and I'm not agreeing with Meltzer because you guys are wank, but
good. I don't want you to heel turn on your own podcast.
What he said is, and what he says is, if there's too much interference and time without a referee, it takes away from the match. Now, that is a standalone.
Would he also not give 5.5 stars to John Moxley and Hangman Page?
Aye, right, exactly my point. But that is a standalone statement. I actually agree with. I don't
disagree with it
because we've criticised that some of the
Money in the Bank, for example.
Money in the Bank, right? That was ridiculous, and that did take away from the match, right? So I agree with that as a statement, but it's not a blanket statement that can apply to every match. In some matches, it makes sense, and some it doesn't. Mm-hmm. So, for example, at WrestleMania this year, when we heard Fiend, we all fucking hated it. It took too long, it ruined it. At WrestleMania the year before, when it was the bells and the chimes, and it was If You Smell, and it was fucking
the Shield,
John Cena,
I loved it.
Right? And that added to the spectacle, right? And nobody complained about it apart from fucking Dave Meltzer. So I agree with it.
I did make the comparison last week that it was the women's equivalent of the Heist of the Century. That's what it was. It was such an iconic moment for the women's division that it was I'm not saying it was as big, but it was the equivalent for the women's Money in the Bank. It was a huge moment.
It was so perfect, and I want everybody to go back and listen to episode 1 and 2 when I said that I think Naomi should go to Raw as a heel, and the 2 years went, that makes so much sense. And as a team, we agreed on that, and I just think it was perfect. And the amount of people that said, I did not see this coming, and I'm sitting there going, fucking called it 3.5 months ago. It was just the perfect button. And I know that's not what we're talking about, but Naomi, I don't know, man, she just looks unhinged in such a good way as the heel.
I'm loving this title run already. I'm absolutely loving it.
Her work on social media is very it's almost like what we praised Drew for doing, just like being funny, but like taking the piss, but in a very real way. Like, you know, the comment last week when was it Drew that said it? Drew actually came out and said it on Twitter first and said, if you want to be a champion in this company, change your last name to Fatu. And Naomi replied saying, that's exactly why I done it. And it's like, well,
do you know what's really good about Naomi's title run so far? And I hope this is why she doesn't drop it so soon, because ever since TKO specifically, your world champions are prim and proper. They're not like, it's almost like
company people.
They are company people. That's exactly what they are. Like, I can't think of a title run in my head, because if you look at Gunther, even Cena to an extent, even though he's a heel, he's very much still does the meet and greets. He still shows up for all his corporate stuff and does it with a smile on his face and does his interviews. Naomi is unhinged. I feel like I've finally got a champion there. I can turn it on one week and she'll just do something fucking insane, and I'm here for it, and I'm absolutely in on it, and I'm so happy that this is where we are.
And I'll say that the match itself was good. It was fine. It's showcasing Stephanie. It's building her back up as a legit threat. It's showing Io as potentially the best female wrestler in the world right now, certainly in the company.
No, I would say the world. I would say she is better than Mercedes and Tony.
Aye. I'm not comment too much on EW because I don't watch it enough. I only see the clips. But she's for me, she's up there. I don't know why Chelsea Green and Secret Service are anywhere near these people right now, but it's probably just to allow about 50-50 booking. Naomi, as we say, that unhinged character, the use of socials is brilliant. It's like you wake up and you're like, Naomi's tweeted again, let's see what she says.
Yeah.
But again, this is my brutality hits, and that place goes fucking mental. And I'll say what I've said all along. Rhea needs to go to SmackDown and save the women's division over there. Because if she goes to SmackDown and wins the title, I don't think there'll be the usual Rhea Hogan stuff, right? But no one will really complain. That division needs saving. She's the biggest star. She's winning. She's either walking into or walking out of Perth with a title. It might as well be that one. If it happens on Raw, I think we'll all be saying, I don't like it. There's enough people on Raw. But you talk about the most popular wrestlers in the world. Rhea Ripley's.
She's the biggest draw.
She's the biggest draw. Everyone wants to watch her, and she's a legit badass in the ring. So it's almost the opposite of the tag team division. They need to get one or two of these people over to SmackDown. They made the right move, getting Naomi away from there, away from Jade Cargill over here. She now looks like a legit. Oh, this isn't a 3 or 4 month title run. This is Naomi should hold this to Mania personally, and being a Mania feud. I'd love to see Naomi go back and forward with the Rumble winner for 2 months with this character. I think it's perfect for that type of story. I think Rhea's the person that goes to SmackDown, possibly with I want to say Stephanie, but keep her away from Julia and other people. Someone, I'm not sure, just someone. Maybe it is Io, but then we see them back all the time. Aye, but if we've seen that as well, I'm struggling to see where the feud is. At least if it's definitely something new. I'm going to go to the last segment now on Raw and try and push through this because I'm already past almost the 55 minutes. So Ross is about to get an extra bill for Buzzsprout through.
All right, Rangers won the night. I'll be delighted.
He has just texted me actually. He's asking me to sort the audio out. So I think something's come up. So I hope everyone's all right. Again, you've not seen the thumbnail I've drawn up for this, but those watching on YouTube.
Roman Reigns yeeting. I hope that is.
It's not. It probably should be, but it's not. And the people that are listening on audio can check it out. But I'm asking the question, and you mentioned it earlier about, I can't remember what feud it was, but not knowing how to book people when they're not in their main feud. Are we stuck in a bloodline vortex? Does Triple H and these people just not know what to do if the bloodline's not there?
I think you make a rod for your own back when you've got so many of them employed, and that sounds mad to say, but see if you like really strip the bones back, it right. You've got Roman, Jimmy, Jay, Solo, Tama, Big Guy, other Tama, And that's 7 straight off the bat, right? That you've got, and it's just impossible to keep them all away from each other. Jay drops his world title and then gets involved in about 3 different feuds because he's not going to win King of the Ring. So you need to. We've seen it every week. There was interference in matches, and sometimes it was Penta, then it was Jay, but then Jay would interfere in something else, and it's just like, what are we actually doing with these people? I feel like we're in a position with TKO, especially right now, where they've got so much talent, they don't have enough time to showcase it. And that sounds mad because Raw's 3 hours long. I'm not being funny. You could make Raw a 4-hour show. I wouldn't watch it, but you could make it a 4-hour show.
Because they had the extra hour on SmackDown till 2 weeks ago.
Because there's so many, there's so much talent that isn't in a feud because they can't book one because there is not enough time. We are stuck in a vortex, and that's mostly because they refuse to drop the tribal chief gimmick for Roman Reigns. I don't blame them. It's a money spinner.
It's not only a money spinner, right? But like, I have half my fucking wardrobe is black and red stuff, and everything he wears is a black t-shirt with red writing. I just think it's smart.
Like, I get it, and I can see the vision. I can absolutely see the vision of either Cody and Roman running it back if Cody doesn't win the title, but also I can see the vision of Rock and Roman if that's still a viable option. Tribal Chief 1 versus the High Chief, or whatever he wants to call himself these days. But
if anything, it has to be the option now, because I feel like this is the issue with the Seth Rollins injury. You've lost the Punk Rollins feud, you've lost the Money in the Bank, whether it's Cena, whether it's Gunther, and you've lost the inevitability of Roman finally beating Rollins on a big stage, which would have, I think, could have been WrestleMania for the title. I think if he cashed it on Cena and won it, I think that was the path. They've lost that completely, and I think if anything, especially if Roman's off filming, you're not building a feud. If anything, it's the perfect year for it, because it could be a part-time feud that doesn't need to be in the show every week for months and months, and then just have a match.
See if you think about what they can do off air on chat shows and all that kind of, like, incredible. And I think that the person that suffers most out of this vortex is Jey Uso, is the person suffering most, because
back to being a right-hand man.
We are talking about how the Raw division is crying out for a tag team. It's inevitable that him and Big Jim, who, by the way, according to Naomi's Twitter, is the hardest worker in the business.
Unhinged Twitter.
Absolutely unhinged Twitter account. But it's the inevitability of some form of bloodline reunion is already started. You've seen it on SmackDown with Fatu and Big Jim teaming up. You've seen it on Raw, obviously, with Jay making the save for Roman and back to being his right-hand man. Is it just going to be, how are we doing Survivor Series? Are we doing War Games? Who knows? How do you connect the two stories together before that happens? Because Roman's not here. So, I don't know. It felt really messy. Didn't deserve to close out the show, because he's already made his big return. We knew he was going to be on the show last night. Personally, don't think it deserved. Io and Steph should probably have closed out the show, but it didn't really make sense because we're not doing anything with it in the long term. It's not going to be a massive picture moving forward for this particular group of people.
I'm happy. I'm happy with Roman and Jay tagging. I just think if the opponents is B&B, it's like, what is why? Like,
it's another thing that makes me think the Seth angle's legit, because if you're talking about him cashing in at SummerSlam, if it's a work, you don't realistically want these guys potentially written off for that cash in.
It's not even just that, and again, teasing next week's prediction show, which will take ages because we've got 10 matches for us to go through. B&B need to win that, but they're not going to have Roman lose. Like,
Jay's going to eat the pin.
Aye, but...
And it'll beat Braun Breaker, it'll beat the Spear. Do you know what I mean? It's built that way, but...
Aye. It's just honestly, I don't know. I don't know if Roman was supposed to return at Saturday night's main event and had to push it back because the injury. I feel as though once Seth was out injured, they should just have kept him off SummerSlam, which I know sounds stupid as your biggest draw, but it didn't need him.
Even have a return at SummerSlam. If you can build them into a... No, I know, but if you can build it in, because the return on Raw, the pop he got was sensational, but really it's all been in the build-up to a tag match before he takes another 4 to 5 weeks off. It's just...
Yeah.
We're wasting that massive return when really we could have just sat on it, because we don't need this tag match.
And we did allude to it earlier, and we said probably not, but I would assume, are we going to get Roman versus Cena? Are they going to not do it? It's been done enough, but are they going to not do it?
It depends. If Cena's champion, they won't do it.
Aye.
Because as good as his title run's been, in especially recent months, but not so much at the beginning, but I'm not convinced you could make Cena getting over against Reigns believable in this day and age. It's different with Cody because Cody's not on the level of Roman, in my opinion, but also the way in which he wins, you're not going to book a dirty finish like that over your top draw. It's just not going to happen. It requires a hell of a lot of interference for you to get a win over Reigns. So I can't see it if Cena's champ. If he's going to get his swan song where he goes out on his dream matches, he'll absolutely have one.
Aye, I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair point, and I'm in agreement with that, to be honest. Last closing segment before we do the... Well, let's do the award first, the Golden Shovel.
Short and sweet, we know where it's headed.
Women's US title.
It's not her fault, but yeah, Julia's title run.
It is the booking of the title. That's it. Yep. Fix the women's mid-card on SmackDown. So Seth Rollins stood in for Rich Eisen on the Rich Eisen show last week and ranked his top 10 finishers. We topped this off pod, and then halfway through went, well, let's keep it for Tuesday. I don't know if you've got the list in front of you or not. I've got it here. I'll go 10 to 1. Yeah. And we'll just go quick fire. And then we'll point out that I actually realised earlier on there's 2 glaring omissions. Mm-hmm. Number 10, People's Elbow.
Not for me.
It's a crap finisher, but it is iconic.
Oh, of course, it's not intimidating, absolutely, but not a top 10 for me.
9, Chokeslam.
I don't hate it. It's outdated now. Back in the day, but I don't hate it.
It's outdated now. A lot of good moments, but it was also a signature move for a lot of people as well, which can devalue. 8, Razor's Edge. It kind of predates my involvement in wrestling. I saw a little bit of Scott Hall at the end of the day in WCW. I saw it.
Again, I don't hate it because I know there's another veterans move in this list, so I don't hate the Razor's Edge, but I feel like it's like a set-up move nowadays for people. So
Sheamus has used similar moves, and Rhea Ripley's been using it as well, and does it devalue it? Maybe. But back in the 90s, I can see that if that's what you grew up watching. 7, the Savage Elbow Drop. I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of iconic. It does emphasise not CM Punk's, which is fine, but that's
to me, I don't chuckle at
that. To me, that's not Punk's finisher.
Yeah.
6 is the spear. I want to come back to that. Right, we'll skip the spear. 6 was the spear. 5 was the sharpshooter. I'm going to say I think that's far too high.
But it is high.
Because the greatest sharpshooter of all time was Shawn Michaels in Montreal in 1997.
Yeah.
And that's the one everybody talks about. Again, maybe it's harsh when I came into watching wrestling, The Rock was using it as like a signature move rather than a finisher, which devalues it. Although I understand people that are 5 years old when they watch Bret Hart.
If you're going to have a submission in there, it should be the Walls of Jericho, in my opinion.
I also agree. 4, the Superfly / Uso Splash. I think if you've got a splash in there, it's either Eddie's Frog Splash or RVD's 5-star.
Or Jeff Swanton.
Or Jeff Swanton, that's enough for sure.
The Superfly Splash, no thanks.
Aye. So number 3 is the Sweet Chin Music. And the reason I wanted to hold the spear to now and talk about it is, if you're going to specify Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music, I think you should specify whose spear, because I think Braun Breaker has this ridiculous spear, but it doesn't have any iconic moments yet. I think Rhino with the Gore, Bobby Lashley with a good spear. sadly, we have to mention Spear Jackhammer from Bill Goldberg. But to me, the most iconic spear moments have came from the artist formerly known as Edge, but his actual spear is a cuddle in comparison to some of these other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the last 5 years of Roman. So
I think
I'm not
potentially missed one. Who could deliver a good spear. It wasn't necessarily a finisher for him. Dave Bautista.
It's a good point. Aye. Which takes me to the next point. Batista Bomb should be on this list. So I think if you're going to say spear, I think you specify who's spear. And these can be iconic moments. Number 2, this is cheating. He's got the stunner / the RKO / the 3D. I think the stunner's number 1. I think the RKO is number 2 for me. Not because I think they're great finishers. I think the RKO movement where it transcended wrestling and became this out of nowhere thing over socials sort of 10 years ago, I think was brilliant. And I think the stunner was it was the kind of first out of nowhere, and it just when I got into wrestling was such an iconic move. It was the move that was everywhere.
I don't disagree with Stone Cold Stunner. RKO is probably top for me. I know when you and I were speaking about this briefly, and probably one of the things that drove us to talk about it on pod was that he left out one of his own finishing moves that he used for years with the pedigree.
Aye, and again, as a finisher, you're dropping some. So Rollins put the stomp number 1, which is just a no. But we talked about this early in Cena's title run about a title shot to the head should put you out. Pedigree, dropping you face first on a mat should put you out. It does put people out. And then you think about all the Hell in a Cell matches, Mick Foley on top of the cell, everything else that happened, the WrestleMania main events. Not only does it have as a good move, but it has the iconic moments to back it up. So I agree. The other one that's missing is the Tombstone Piledriver.
Yeah,
the fuck is the
100% on the list.
And that doesn't even get to things like the F5, the FU, whatever else. But the Tombstone, I
You're
can't
talking
believe
about iconic. That's arguably the most iconic of them all. The Tombstone, the streak. Every time he pins him, post
Tombstone, fold the arms, tongue
the
out.
tongue out, 100%.
Everything about it is just. And then not only that, it was protected to the point where people only kicked out in WrestleMania main events and matches like that, where it told a story. Like Brock Lesnar kicking out of it and then hitting take out with 5 F5s as a story, whether you like the decision at the end of the day or not, irrelevant. It told a story.
Michaels, when he fought Michaels.
Aye, the reversals and everything else that came with that. So it's not a bad list. It's definitely a list that has a little bit of kayfabe woven into Seth Rollins as a wrestling fan. There's no doubt that's part of the list. I just think
100%.
Tombstone should be there.
I mean, if I'm building a list, I'm leaving all the older stuff out and building it based on what I watched growing up. So for me, the Twist of Fate's probably in there because Matt Hardy was my favourite wrestler.
Aye,
you know what I mean? So it's like there probably has an element of that, and I probably wouldn't include I would probably think about the Stone Cold Stunner, but would I put it in my list because it's not really what I grew up on? It's slightly different.
The other thing that devalues the Stunner is Kevin Owens using a little bit.
I would devalue it. I think Chaos Stunners. I'm going to say something outrageous today. It's a better Stunner than Stone Cold's.
I think
it's
more
iconic from Stone Cold, but
I think it probably helps that every second Stone Cold Stunner was to Vince McMahon, who could not sell it. Probably
that's true. That's true. That is true.
And all man just floating over.
Yeah.
I did stick a shot up on our TikTok, so feel free to go and join the conversation there on this. But Adam went Batista Bomb at 10, Stomp at 9, End of Days at 8,
like End of Days shit.
GTS at 7, Frog Splash at 6, F5 at 5, Last Ride at 4, Sweet Chin Music at 3, Spear if done properly, which is why I said that's an interesting point to talk about. It's the person, and then Stunner at 1. The one that actually, like, again, come to think of it, I'm not saying it's an iconic finisher, but I love the Claymore because I just think any shot to the head that can come from nowhere that can put you out is legit. I just like that idea of oh, you've just been kicked in the head, therefore you're knocked out, and I should be able to pin you for 3 seconds. And then Belt Up Bridal, who we do appreciate, he's been commenting a lot on our stuff recently on TikTok. Says the only good thing to come from the stomp with Randy's RKO, which
very true.
I mean, although the
that's
double
not true.
stomp,
Cena won Elimination Chamber because of it. So 2 things.
and also the double stomp to Roman on the side of the ring at the Rumble this year was particularly gnarly looking. And then he slags off Seth Rollins as well, which is fine because
I don't hate that.
I don't know, it's good. It's good for content. And he does mention the pedigree, the pedigree, and then the stomp is just pish. He did say he did like seeing the sharpshooter in the Savage Elbow Drop on the list, I think. Which I did say in the comments to him, there is definitely a generational thing. Like the sharpshooter for me predates my interest in wrestling. It's a good, it's a bold list. But there's nothing that I'd look at and say that's completely ridiculous. I can understand most of the list.
Yeah.
Aye, but this pick his own finish, that's fine. I mean,
no, I get that.
Like I said, it's a shot to the head that should put you out. I'm alright with it.
But that over Randy's punt?
No, fuck no.
Yeah,
Randy's punt
mean?
was.
Yeah,
I hate that. Even when Randy's punt was 2009, so even then I'd have been 18, 19. And I hated him for it. Like, even at that point when I knew
it was believable. It was believable.
Because it was so believable. He was punting both men. And putting people in a hospital.
Linda McMahon was going to turn it and he could have kicked her again, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, so that's for this week. So I kind of bit in up and down SmackDown and Raw. SmackDown's definitely struggling with that, losing that hour, and Raw is now struggling with having to try and fit some of that hour in. I pick up some of the slack for that timing. And again, an enjoyable segment at the end there talking about Rollins' list, which we did a couple of weeks ago with fantasy booking. So we'll try and see if we come up with something for the end of the podcast every week. If MD wants to suggest something, find us over on TikTok or the link in the show notes. You can send us a message through Buzzsprout and we can pick it up and talk about it next week. We'll be back. We'll be back to the PLE predictions next week. I thought we'd an extra week before I was planning this pod, and I went, nah, we're a full team, and then the week after we'll be reacting and be looking forward to a PLE at a normal time, an 8 PM Saturday night, nice and chilled. So that being said, we'll just close us off there. Appreciate everybody joining us. We've built a nice wee audience there on Apple Podcasts, which I'm looking at and my notes and my stats, and same on Spotify. So loving the listening, loving everybody joining us. If you want to get involved with the conversation, all the details will be in the link tree and the show notes. So we'll sign it off there, Daz.
A pleasure as always.
And for myself, take it easy, guys, and we'll catch you next week. Pretty much anything else than your machine.